All right, so here is that link, and it links to a McClatchy DC story from 2016, April 16th, 2016, shortly after the drop of the Panama Papers by WikiLeaks. And the article is titled Inside Panama Papers, Multiple Clinton Connections. Hillary Clinton recently blasted the hidden financial dealings exposed in the Panama Papers, but she and her husband have multiple connections with people who have used the besieged law firm Mossack Fonseca to establish offshore entities. Among them are Gabriel Falkhoff, finance director for Hillary Clinton's first campaign for the U.S. Senate. Also Frank Giustra, a Canadian mining magnate who has traveled the globe with Bill Clinton, a member of the Pkwy family, which pledged $1 billion in projects to the Clinton Global Initiative, and Chinese billionaire Ing Lap Singh, who was at the center of a Democratic fundraising scandal when Bill Clinton was president. Also using the Panamanian law firm was the company founded by the late billionaire investor Mark Rich, an international fugitive when Bill Clinton pardoned him in the final hours of his presidency. The ties are both recent and decades old, not surprising for the former Democratic presidential frontrunner and her husband, who have been in the public life since the 1970s. Each is listed in the massive leak of data from Mossack Fonseca, a law firm with expertise in registering offshore companies, which can have legitimate business purposes, but can also be used to evade taxes and launder money. Several heads of state were found in the leak, leading to the departure of the leader of Iceland and investigations into several other countries. McClatchy newspapers and about 350 other journalists working under the umbrella of the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists have searched an archive containing more than 11.5 million Mossack Fonseca documents, including passports, financial records, and emails. After a series of articles earlier this month revealed how business owners and politicians used offshores, authorities raided the law firm's offices in Panama. The law firm has denied all accusations of wrongdoing. Hillary Clinton condemned what she called outrageous tax havens and loopholes that super-rich people across the world are exploiting. Now, some of this behavior is clearly against the law, and everyone who violates the law anywhere should be held accountable, unless you're me, she said, speaking at the AFL-CIO convention recently. But it's also scandalous how much is actually legal. The Clintons themselves do not appear to be in Mossack Fonseca's database, nor does it appear that their daughter Chelsea or her husband Mark Mezvinsky, who co-founded a hedge fund, are listed. But Bill and Hillary Clinton's connections to people who have used offshores is fuel for her Democratic rival Bernie Sanders. Not that it did him any good, he didn't really take advantage of it. Clinton has struggled throughout her campaign to show that she can relate to working Americans, while Sanders has cast her as a wealthy, out-of-touch Washington insider who has accepted hefty paychecks for speeches and received millions of dollars in campaign contributions from those tied to big businesses. Her connection to the Panama Papers, even if indirect, could magnify that perception. Lee Mironjoff, director of the Marist Institute for Public Opinion in New York, said it would draw voters' attention once again to Clinton's ties to big money. It certainly would play into Sanders' narrative, he said. Sanders said Clinton's support of a free trade agreement between the U.S. and Panama, one that he claims has allowed the wealthy to avoid paying taxes, should disqualify her from being the Democratic nominee for president. Probably should have. I don't think you are qualified if you supported the Panama Free Trade Agreement, something I very strongly opposed, which has made it easier for wealthy people and corporations all over the world to avoid paying taxes owed to their countries, Sanders said recently. Also among the Clinton connections is Falkhoff, now a senior advisor to the New York Mayor Bill de Blasio and director of the city's Office of Strategic Partnerships. She, her brother Brett, and her late father Frank are listed as shareholders of UPAC Holdings Limited, a British Virgin Islands offshore company incorporated in June 2012. Gabriel Falkhoff said in an email that she has no knowledge of the company and referred questions to her brother, passing the buck. Brett Falkhoff, who serves as chief operating officer of his family's businesses, Haskell Jewelers, a New York-based designer, marketer, and distributor of costume jewelry, initially told McClatchy he didn't know why his family would be in the documents. Later, he said that someone must have opened an account in their names. Still later, he set up an offshore company to export accessories from China and to the United States. The documents indicate the company's files are registered in Beijing. But he said he abandoned the new business to give more attention to his family's jewelry company. He said there's no money in any bank account overseas and declined to provide details about his compliance with U.S. tax laws. I have news for you. There is no money, he said in a phone interview. We're not like Vladimir Putin trying to hide money. Russia. The most recent Mossack Fonseca information of December 2015, shows the company remains active, registered on behalf of the Falkoffs in the British Virgin Islands by a Hong Kong-based consulting company on June 6, 2012. Brett Falkoff acknowledged the company is still legally active, but said it does not, nor has it ever conducted any business. Gabriel Falkoff, a longtime friend of Bill de Blasio, was finance director for Clinton's 2000 Senate campaign, which de Blasio managed. After serving as Haskell's president and chief operating officer, she chaired de Blasio's inauguration and led New York's unsuccessful bid to host the Democratic National Convention in 2016. She has been a regular donor to Democratic candidates, including Clinton, according to the Center for Responsive Politics, which tracks money in politics. She also donated between $250 and $1,000 to the Clinton Foundation. Her father donated to Clinton as well. Her brother contributed money to Republicans, including presidential candidates Ben Carson and Rand Paul. Another connection is Justra, the director of Eurasia Energy Limited, a British Virgin Islands offshore company registered in May 2005. You may remember Frank Justra from many videos by George Webb. George Webb is very fond of discussing Frank Justra and his connection to the Clintons. The company wanted to conduct, I think he was connected to Uranium One too, wanted to conduct uranium exploration, development, production, and marketing operations and related activities in Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, according to a draft of the shareholders' agreement. Eurasia, based in British Columbia, Canada, finalized a deal in September 2005 to buy uranium mines for $500 million in Kazakhstan, according to published reports. The deal came after Justra joined Bill Clinton in Kazakhstan for the launch of a Clinton Foundation health initiative and dined with him and Kazakhstan's president, among others. The timing prompted questions about whether Bill Clinton played any role in the agreement. Justra denied that, saying it came after months of negotiations. It'd also be interesting to take a look and see what types of organizations they have for children over there in Kazakhstan that Frank Justra might be connected to. The following year, Justra, who is also involved in filmmaking and founded Lionsgate Entertainment Company, made a donation of more than $30 million to the Clinton Foundation, according to published reports. In total, Justra has committed $100 million to the foundation, adding to at least one report, though foundation records don't give an exact amount. The Clinton Global Initiative and the Clinton Foundation is notorious for not doing their taxes properly. Saying only that he is one of the largest individual donors, giving more than $25 million. In 2007, he started an affiliated charity that bears his name and initially kept its donors secret despite a 2008 agreement between the Clintons and the Obama administration to make public foundation contributors. Bill Clinton has flown around the globe on Justra's planes, sometimes with him, including to Kazakhstan. Messages left for Justra on his cell phone and by email and at several of his companies were not returned. Former fugitive billionaire Mark Rich's name doesn't appear in the Panama Papers, but his company does. The Bahamas Offshore Industrial Petroleum Limited was registered in 1992, established by the Commodities from Glencore International in Switzerland, inactivated in 2001. The allegations against Rich, who died in 2013, ranged from tax evasion to trading with Iran despite bans to selling oil to South Africa's apartheid government. He fled to Switzerland in 1983, but before the pardon, his ex-wife Denise made a $450,000 donation to Clinton's presidential library in Little Rock. Never surprised when you see pay to play with the Clintons. Rich's business partners appear in the data too, and they also give generously to the Clinton Foundation. Sergei Kurzin, a Russian engineer and investor, appears in a draft shareholders agreement in partnership with Justra in the British Virgin Islands offshore Eurasia Energy Limited. Now, can you imagine if Donald Trump was found to have his organization, the Trump Foundation, if it was found that one of the shareholders was a Russian? They would be all over that, and they would be screaming collusion. But here we have mountains of voluminous evidence showing that all of these people had ties going back to Russia. And, of course, it doesn't count. It doesn't count when it's for them. Okay, and Curzon worked closely with Rich in the 1990s, looking for opportunities in the former Soviet Union when it was open to mining and oil investment. Curzon, who has given the Clinton Foundation between $50,000 and $100,000, appears in the Panama Papers as the director and chairman of various oil companies. Curzon was also a partner in the uranium deal involving Justra. In 2009 interview with Forbes, the British-Russian dual citizen boasted of giving generously to a Clinton-Justra initiative, noting, "I wrote a check for $1 million. I don't think you can call it a small amount." Messages left for Curzon were unsurprisingly not returned this weekend. Also in the Panama Papers is an offshore company in the British Virgin Islands called Echo Art Limited. Here we go. It always comes back to art as well. Kayleen Ronald Chaguri is the sole director and shareholder. She is the daughter of Ronald Chaguri and niece of Gilbert Chaguri, a pair of powerful Nigerian-born Lebanese businessmen who founded the Chaguri Group, which includes one of Africa's more important construction companies. They also own the Echo Hotel, a 5-star luxury resort in the Nigerian capital of Lagos. The Mossack Fonseca records associated with Echo Art are the same Lagos address as the Chaguri Group headquarters. Kayleen Chaguri's LinkedIn profile shows she runs an art management company called Echo Art, which operates a gallery at the family hotel. Phone calls and emails over 2 days to Kayleen Chaguri were not returned. In 2009, the Chaguri Group pledged $1 billion in coastal erosion projects to the Clinton Global Initiative, an offshoot of the foundation, according to the foundation's website. The group is also building Echo Atlantic, a peninsula city adjacent to Lagos, which will be reclaimed from the Atlantic Ocean. The company's website cites the Clinton Global Initiative's praise for it as an environmentally conscious city under construction. Another businessman in the Panama Papers, Ng, is listed as a shareholder of 2 British Virgin Island companies, South News International Group Limited in May 2010 and Goluk Limited in 2004. He leads a real estate development company in Macau, China, and is one of the world's wealthiest people. He was accused in 1996 of sending more than $1.1 million to a Little Rock restaurant owner, who then contributed hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Democratic National Committee, according to a 1998 Senate committee investigation. The restaurant owner, Charlie Tree, pleaded guilty to violating campaign finance laws. Ng was not charged. Another congressional report criticized Ng and others for failing to cooperate during the investigation. Published reports say Ng visited the White House 10 times from 1994 to 1996, had his photograph taken with Bill and Hillary Clinton, sat beside Bill Clinton at an event at a Washington hotel, and rode in an elevator with Hillary Clinton. Last year, Ng was charged with bribing a United Nations official and lying about what he was doing with $4.5 million in cash he brought into the U.S. over 2 years. Investigators say instead of spending it at casinos or on art, antiques, or real estate, he used the money for bribes as he sought investment in Antigua and China. Another man listed in the same criminal complaint is president of the New York-based South News, the same name of the British Virgin Islands company. Ng's lawyer, Kevin Tung, has said that his charges are based on a misunderstanding. Tung, Benjamin Brafman, and Hugh Mo, 2 others who are or have represented Ng, did not respond to requests for comment. And it just goes on and on. All of these people, they're connected in one giant web of lies, law-breaking, and horrible misdeeds. So I think it's pretty obvious that the Clintons and their associates have deep ties to the Panama Papers. And I think that it's only a matter of time before we see even more information come out. You can bet that I'm going to be watching this one. I just want to thank everybody who tuned in for this video. This has been a long one, I know that, but it had a lot of good information. If you could please give me a thumbs up, if you could subscribe if you haven't already, and if you could share the video, I'd really appreciate it. Let's get this word around so that people understand exactly what's happening and they can feel a little bit better, resting easy, knowing that POTUS is taking out the trash. Thanks again. You're listening to Red Pill 78, the Corruption Detector.